going to swear an oath in this country, you do actually, at present, have to swear an oath to God. Should you? Or how are things going to change? Jane Donnelly, the Human Rights Officer of Atheist Ireland, was writing about this in the Irish Times today. She joins us now. Jane, thank you very much for taking the time to join us. So what is the situation if you go to court and you're giving evidence, or if you are swearing out an affidavit for use in court, or any other important documents? Do you actually have to swear an oath to a God you may not believe in?
Well, in court, they present you with the affidavit and they present you with the Bible, and then you have to stand up and you have to say that you don't want to swear on the Bible. So that immediately lets people know that you're not a Christian, first of all. If you are any other religion, you have to ask for their religious book. And it puts people and atheists and the non-religious in general in a very difficult position.
It makes a holy show of you, really, doesn't it, in some respect?
It does, and it could bias the jury because people realise that you're just different because the norm is, because the way the court system works, the norm is that they hand you a Bible. And we in Atheist Ireland are campaigning against that. And it doesn't just stop in the courts, of course, because you have to swear to be president or to be a judge. And for the Taoiseach, the Taoiseach, who have to be on the Council of State, they all have to swear a religious oath because it's written into the Constitution. And we will need a referendum to change that area.
Hold on, what would happen in a situation where somebody, a committed atheist who publicly was an atheist, if they actually swore that oath, wouldn't they be deliberately telling a lie to take up their office?
They would. Yeah, and that's why we want that changed, because it undermines the right to freedom of religion and belief. And it is very, very difficult for anybody that's a conscientious atheist or a humanist or non-religious in general to get into high office and to have to pretend to take a religious oath. And it is a lie. It's the first thing you do then. If you were president or Taoiseach, it's the first thing you do when you take this oath.
Sir, but can you in any circumstances refuse to take it? Can you turn around and say, well, actually, I don't believe in God, so I'll have to swear an oath to uphold my office properly in some other way? Is that allowed?
No, because it's written into the Constitution. If you actually look at the Constitution, it says, in the presence of Almighty God. And then it ends off, may God sustain and direct me. So you have to quote what's in the article in the Constitution. That's how it works. So you'd have to resign. It'd be very difficult for any minister or the Taoiseach or the Taoiseach. And it has been difficult because we know that it happened to Eamon Gilmore when he was Taoiseach. And there was a meeting of the Council of State and he had to swear that oath, which he didn't believe in. His only other alternative would have been to resign. And obviously he wasn't willing to do that.
Okay, what do you say to people who say that this is a Christian country? That is the Constitution as decided by the vast majority of people of the country, that most people do subscribe to the Christian faith or other religious faiths. So they all believe in God, and just because a small minority don't, that they shouldn't be allowed to dictate to the others.
Well, I'd say that's not really a democracy, because the foundation of a democratic society is freedom of religion and belief. And what you're saying then is that this country is only for Christians, and that it is not a Christian country. It's a pluralist country, and atheists and the non-religious in general have the same rights as religious people in Ireland, and we want the Constitution and we want a referendum to change that, because we go around, Ireland is great for going to other countries such as Pakistan and getting up at the UN and talking about freedom of religion and belief, but when it comes to our own country, we're not willing to do anything about it. And there's not one politician, when they were discussing the new programme for government, raised this issue. I know things are difficult at the moment, but at least it could have got a mention there that they were committed to doing something about it at some stage down the line. Now, it just really can't go on anymore because it is an embarrassment. And there is a group of people taking, and David Norris is one of those, taking it to the European Court. Now, it would be really embarrassing for us as a country to have to stand up at the European Court and try and defend ourselves, that we need to keep this religious oath in our constitution. It really would be an embarrassment. So you want the government and this government to do something about it as soon as possible.
But come back to me about the issue of the courts and affidavits, because isn't there a change on the way in the civil law and criminal law bill for 2020?
Yes, there is, and we really welcome that. So that means that you don't have to, they won't hand you the Bible, you don't need a book. And it's already been on, I think it's the Law Society, there's been a report there for 30 years about this issue in courts, and they're only doing that now. So that is a very welcome change, and that'll hopefully end that. But then it's not the only issue. We need to move on to look at the Constitution and to have a referendum to remove those oaths in the Constitution, because we cannot stand up with a human rights record and say that we support freedom of religion and belief around the world when we don't support it in Ireland for atheists and humanists and the non-religious.
But Jane Donnelly, the bit that gets me is the idea that there are people deliberately lying and maybe openly lying to take up these positions, that they're required to do so or else they can't take up the jobs to which they have been appointed or elected.
Well, I know that is an issue, and I think, as far as I remember now, the European Court, there was a case like that at the European Court, and it was to do with lawyers, I think, in Greek courts that had to take an oath, and they did so. As far as I remember, they did so, and the European Court actually said that they were left with no choice but to do that, but it breached the right to freedom of religion and belief. So, you know, if you do want to take up office and you want to change things, it is extremely difficult for people, conscientious atheists in Ireland. But it is something that I'm sure has happened. And I'm sure it has happened, and it obviously has happened with the previous Taoiseach, Eamon Gilmore. And it was an embarrassment and very, very difficult.
Thank you very much, Jane Donnelly, Human Rights Officer from Atheist Ireland. What do you think? 087 4100 102 gives you the last word by text or by WhatsApp. Lots more after this.